Sitting there with my phone, all of a sudden I went,
As we do always, let's begin with a review and approval of the minutes of our last meeting.
I move approval.
Motion and a second to approve is submitted.
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm just abstaining because I wasn't here last month.
Noted for the record. Thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to just state that we have a competing meeting, semi-competing meeting at 6 o'clock this evening. Some of our members need to attend. Some of us want to attend. Some of the people in the audience may want to attend as well. So let's be crisp in our discussion, see if we can get done by 6 o'clock. With that, let's begin with the first item of business, which is the request of Rachel Porter at 313 East Willow for parking pad and awning. Good afternoon, Ms. Porter. We've all had a chance to look at your application. You can tell us as little or as much as you want about it, and we'll take it from there.
I don't really have much to say about it, other than trying to add a second place for me, my daughter to park, due to the tightness of the street, the lots of cars, and trying to be a good neighbor to my elderly neighbors who do not like it when I park in front of their home. Trying to alleviate a space, or leave a space for them and be able to park on my property with both of my cars.
I had one question. Will you be requesting an additional driveway cut into the street, or will you be able to access it from your existing driveway cut?
Yeah, I didn't know exactly what to do. I was actually going to ask you about that, because the people who've come out and given me an estimate have said that our curbs are asphalt, and they say normally curbs are concrete. And so when I reached out to David about that, asked him about like cutting a apron, he said that the street, is it a streets? I forget what you called it, but the streets
Committee?
Yeah,
Glendale
our street foreman, Tom Aldifer,
would take care of
would,
like the
would,
apron.
yeah, would oversee the installation of an apron into the right of way of the street.
Wow.
Oh.
Not do it, not perform the work.
Oh.
Inspect it. No, inspect it.
Oh.
Inspect
oh,
it.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
She
Okay.
pays for it.
Correct,
Okay.
yes, the village would not install it.
Another
Okay.
question, the concrete for sidewalks is different than the concrete at a driveway normally. It's a different, so is that gonna be replaced, or just? or
If
what?
the additional curb cut, then yes, it would be required to meet whatever the thickness is. I don't know the inches off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's a
whatever the sidewalk.
PSI and the thickness and all that stuff, so,
Yes.
so that'll be replaced too, a couple of squares of the sidewalk will
Correct.
be replaced.
Correct.
Can I ask a question about our ordinances? I'm not aware of any ordinance regarding any maximum number of curb cuts within X width of lot, because this plot is only, it's a thin lot, if I recall.
Yeah.
It's a non-conforming lot that we cut off from a non-conforming lot, so it's even smaller. So the width, in essence, you're taking another, some more parking place off the street. So we have no ordinance concerning how many curb cuts you can have, or?
It is 2,
Okay.
maximum of 2.
Two.
Per
So,
lot.
per lot.
And that's on the
Per
same,
lot per street.
per street.
So you could have a horseshoe
Like a horseshoe.
driveway, but you couldn't have 3 entrances to your driveway from the same street.
Got it.
And we don't need to worry about the side yard setback, do we? Because it's not a driveway, it's a parking pad.
The way we worded that last revision to the ordinance that was passed, we have some flexibility of how
Yeah.
far, close to the property line
Yeah.
we could do something like
Well-
this. So how close is it to the property line?
I don't know the answer.
It wasn't displayed on the plans that were submitted, but based on the Cages aerial, it would maintain the same distance as the parking pad on, is that
On the
the
other
west?
side.
But
So,
recall, the one on that right, we divided that little house and made a
Correct.
non-conforming lot. So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
really small lot. So
Correct.
The
that
one on the left is bigger because like you said, the house that used to share that lot, we share a sidewalk. On the right, we share steps down into our basements there.
Right.
Which on the other side, there's like a, pole in the back of of my house, like in between mine and Dr. Ruth's, that shows like the middle, the property line. And this would be like, for when they measured it, it was like not even coming close. It was like 2 to 3 feet from that. If you were to draw a line straight up all the way to the street, there would be room for a sidewalk on the side of the house, which I'm not doing, but kind of like there is on the other side of the house.
When we look at that vegetation in the picture that looks like flowers possibly, is that on your property or not? on
Dr.
your-
Ruth.
And is at the end of that, is that beginning of your property or is yours even over
The
more?
end of that, that's a great, yeah, so my property line goes right over to her flowers.
Okay.
And
So
the
that's
back-
5 feet
Yeah.
off there, easily. Yeah. So,
I would think it, yeah, if that's to scale and that's 10 foot for the pad, that is close to 5 feet.
5 feet, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, it actually, the building itself is absolutely symmetrical. And providing a parking pad where you're proposing it actually responds to the symmetry. So, I'm fine with it. I hope that the concrete will try to match the existing concrete and not be bright white, which happens sometimes.
Would it be possible, I mean, 2 cuts, to make one wide cut in the middle that would allow you to access both pads to minimize the impact on the parking on the street? It may be
won't
a little
minimize
There's
it.
no parking on that side of the street
No,
either.
no,
There's
it's
no
it's a
parking on
one-way
that side of the
alley.
street?
No,
Never-
yeah.
Okay, then never mind.
I was actually gonna ask because coming down from the steps where the little magnifying glass is there,
Yeah,
that would be a little tiny, like,
yeah, I know.
so
4 or 5 feet of grass. Would it be appropriate and possible to just have it be no grass there? So that there's not technically 2 aprons where it could just be
one large
One.
apron.
one thing?
I don't have anything in the code.
I
that
think it'd
would
be
out- would
possible, I don't
prohibit
think,
that.
I don't know if it'd be as attractive as having that little bit of grass there. It's sort of an aesthetic thing.
But it's such a narrow, if there are cars on the other side, it's probably almost impossible to get into the one cut you have now.
It is. I go over my curb to get in my lot
Yeah.
and cars are parked there, so
Yeah.
it's just
Pave
the
the whole
nature
thing.
of the street. It's
So it
just
might be
very
better to
narrow.
just have one big.
Yeah. Now, if you do that, that means you're gonna have to do more squares of concrete where the sidewalk is.
Yes, 4 instead of 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And do we have any concerns about the apron being asphalt versus concrete, or should we just make the whole thing concrete?
I think that's a question for Mr. Alford.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we would do
Okay.
whatever is
All
to
right.
spec for the village.
Man, I had a question. Your application says it's not only for a parking pad, but also for an awning. There wasn't anything in the application relative to an awning?
No, I did not put in an application because I actually asked if I could just ask you guys for some guidance and advice on that. I have a picture of the church that I found in the historical museum of the church, a black and white picture of it maybe back in the 50s, according to my neighbors. They said they remember seeing the awning there, and it looked like a stove top, like a stove hood that they said the parishioners or the minister had built it out of wood, and then they took it down. It was up for many years,
Yeah.
and then took it down in their time at the church. And it covered the little teardrop window. It was above that, and it looked very clunky. I don't know how else to explain
Yeah.
it.
Rustic.
And so I would love to be able to
Yeah.
have something to protect my doors from the elements. Right now, when it rains and snow builds up on my top porch, there's actually, the doors are very taking a beating from the elements, and I didn't know what would be period appropriate. Canopy might look too tacky. I love the look of it like it is without an awning, but I've also seen like people actually have an architect come out and do like a little shingle type thing that could maybe match the arch of the window to be above the window, but I didn't even
The
know
thing
where to
is-
start.
If you put it above the window, that's so high that you're still gonna get that snow in there. It's so high that you're still gonna get that snow buildup.
Okay.
It'll be as if it's not there. Cause you're
Yeah.
talking
Even if
already
it came out for
extremely
far.
tall doors, and then another 4 or 5 feet on top of that. You're probably close to, what, 13 feet to the peak of that thing.
Okay,
And-
yeah, and I didn't know if it would even fit between the window and the doors because it's so narrow there. If that would look tacky, it would.
I don't think
Well,
that'd look good.
And the other point is that that Gothic window or transom is an important architectural feature, and it
Right.
really
It's good.
shouldn't be covered.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough to get a awning that's going to cover the top of the door so they'll still be operable and leave that window exposed.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna work. And if you go up above, it's gonna hide that beautiful window, plus it's not gonna be effective because it's gonna be so high.
Okay. Thank you.
Can we just-
Well, if you find something, we were happy to look at it, but
Thanks.
Right, what if you put a horizontal bar going right above the lights so that the window was and angling down, but it would have to be on
Yeah.
either side.
And
That'd
if
be
it's
the only.
angling
Can't-
down,
you
the
can't
door- then the
angle-
door won't open.
Yeah,
For the next one.
Ah,
yeah.
yeah, you have to go out, you have
Yeah.
to go out
You'd have to
first,
go
and then you
straight
have a
out.
flat,
Yeah.
yeah, there's not
You-
enough space there. Okay.
You might be
I
able
got
to
it.
have an arched canopy.
I think you need to get an architect to look into that for you.
I'm taking names.
Right.
I have no idea who to call. Okay.
Motion on the driveway.
All right, thank you.
yeah. All right, thanks.
So
Well,
I move approval of the parking pad, assuming that our Public Works Supervisor will take care of the apron.
All right, we have a motion to approve the parking pad. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address this application? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I have one more thing I'd like to add. If your doors are taking a beating, you might want to have somebody come, take them off, and seal the bottom of them really well, because a lot of times the doors just aren't sealed on the bottom. And if they really sealed them well, that'll help a lot, because it sucks moisture up through the bottom.
Yeah, they put, there's a metal piece on the bottom of each of them as well to help from
Okay.
the original doors. And it's right under that lowest hinge and down is where it's just like bubbled paint and, and it's getting, I'm like, oh, it happened just in the last year since I.
Yeah, you gotta really keep on that, or you'll end up with really bad doors.
Okay.
And they would
Right.
be very expensive to replace.
Oh, Oh, yeah, they've already been like
Yeah.
fixed a few times. so.
Just maintain it every year and you'll be okay.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Right.
Yep.
Let's move on to the second application, that of Susan Kruzman, 235 Coral, for an addition. Good evening. Oh, afternoon still.
Hi there.
I'm Julie Thale, I'm with Grove Architects representing Susan Kruzman.
Well, we've seen you before, so you know how we operate.
Yes.
Um, She has a little ranch house on Coral, and she wants to add a mudroom, laundry, utility, and garage space behind it. So, and a garage at the level of the living level, that's the main driving force for this project, so that she can pull in and her car be at the main living level, because right now the driveway entry is in the front, the lower level.
But the garage at the basement level facing the front would remain, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And our zoning code says that additions to the side or rear will be limited to 50% of the surface area. And this looks like it's less than 50%. Would you, do you say so?
Yeah, that seems about right.
You're not including the driveway, you're just talking about
No,
the addition
the
itself.
square foot of the
the
footprint, the
footprint, yeah.
footprint. So, and you're gonna match all the existing finishes, right?
Yes.
Well, it looks like there's existing brick on the house,
Yes.
and the finish of the exterior, it looks like a siding.
Yes, with the exception of that, yes. It's just the house, the 40s or 50s.
Mhm.
So we can match
50s,
it
I
with
think.
the gutter detail and the window details.
Mhm.
Not the state fill, but the gutter line. Can you see that?
Is that,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, is that unpainted brick?
It is painted brick.
So
Yes,
would
it
then
should
the
blend.
finish of the siding, would that be painted to match the
It should match
color of the
color.
house?
Yeah, that's the
Not that we
intent.
can
Which
dictate
elevation?
color, I was just asking if
Any
it
of
would
them.
match.
They all-
Ask about
Well, the
driveway.
front is, there's not
Mhm.
very much work
No.
on
Or
the
you
front, so
can-
maybe that's
No,
why
yeah.
it looks good. Yeah, that's
Looks
great.
fine.
Thank
What
you.
about
Okay, and the driveway as shown looks like it doesn't meet the side yard requirements, so is that going to be part of this application, or?
Right now, we would rather just get approval from the historic review board. I mean, it's okay. She'd prefer to have the driveway that would extend a little bit further back. There is an existing privacy fence along that northeast property line. So if there's a car there, her neighbor would never see it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, if you don't want
Mhm.
to approve the driveway over the 5-yard setback,
Just
it's workable. We
point
can work
of-
without it, yeah.
point of clarification is that we had spoken about the project and that the original zoning approval was contingent upon the removal of this section, let me find it, this section of driveway where it encroaches into that 5-foot required side yard setback for driveways. If you do want to change that and go and maintain that, we could go through a variance process that would be separate from this planning commission.
Okay.
That's something that can be handled through our office, goes to the Board of Appeals.
Okay,
So
I'll
you
discuss
you
that.
have time to
Yeah.
decide if you'd like,
I'll discuss that with Susan Kruzman.
but that would only affect that particular area.
What if that
the
section
project.
was in a porous material?
All of it is gonna be that, tar and chip, driveway material.
I was thinking-
Relatively porous.
Like gravel or something.
Or those pavers that have the grass in them, or gravel, or just that section, just that bit, would that then meet the requirement? Because that's,
The materials aren't listed as specifically in the code as far as it's
Setback.
any they refer to it as improved
oh,
surface.
any improvement, okay.
So now those, as far as getting a variance is concerned, there could be potentially a condition for those kind of grow through pavers or gravel or something more porous. But that would be a discussion through the variance process.
Sure.
Okay.
Anything else?
Just real quick for design wise, what was the driving reason for doors on both sides of the little vestibule, not vestibule, but the mudroom?
The other reason for the addition is her dogs, and she wanted the door on the west side goes into the fenced-in area for the dogs to be let
Okay.
out, and then the door on the northeast side is for people to go.
Just
Okay.
And this
What we
application,
do for our dog.
Yes, really.
It's
this
Glendale.
application also includes additional fencing, is that right?
Yes, she already has the privacy fence on the east and north side. That was approved, I don't know, at least a year ago, I think. So she would be putting a different type of fence, like 4 rails or visible fence along the west side. I think we submitted photos of that type of fence.
I don't know if they were in.
They're,
Somebody had
They're
a
here.
fence. Somebody had a fence in there.
yeah, I got looking right at it.
Yeah, that,
Perfect.
that's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
That's area with the dogs or not?
Yes, that's the
with
area
the
of
dog?
dogs, yeah.
So you're also gonna have some sort of metal fencing in there?
Well, yeah, like that kind of has like a.
Oh, I
metal
see it now.
between it,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the other side already has the privacy fence.
Okay.
All right.
I move to approve, with the exception of the, in
Driveway encroachment.
the encroachment into to within 5 feet of the of the property line.
I'll second it.
All right, is there anyone in the audience wishes to address this application? Further discussion, members of the commission, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Congratulations. David will take you from here if you want to call him later this week.
Yeah, I'll give you a call this week or give you a call. Talk about next steps.
I'm up next for Woodbine.
Oh, all right, well, let's move right into that one. It's 740 Woodbine, Thomas and Mary Beth Moores for a deck revision. Once again, you have the floor.
So this is a slight modification to the deck that was approved a few months ago. Once the contractor had it staked out, the homeowner decided it was taking up too much space in their yard, and so we redesigned it to have, it's smaller than it was before, and it has an L-shaped steps now.
I move approval.
Second.
Anyone in the audience wish to address this application? Further discussion, members of the commission, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Since
Congratulations.
it's already built, it's a good thing we approved it.
Looks great, too. Great, thank you.
All right,
Something
thanks.
smaller, that's okay.
Last application is the request of Moman, 1921 LLC, good afternoon still, for signs on the village square.
My name's Brooke, I'm with Atlantic Sign Company.
No. Well, you've seen how we operate. You can tell us what you're doing and we'll take it from there.
We're installing some window vinyl on 11 Village, I think it's Village Square. No, 11 Village Square. We had a bit of a miscommunication between the township and us, and we were under the impression that we did not need a permit for this, and so the vinyl was installed and it was installed first surface, so we need to remove it and install it second surface. So the way that it looks is exactly how it's gonna look. The darkness is just there so you can see the contrast of the white, it'll be clear, but it'll just be second surface, it'll be on the inside instead of the outside.
And so
We
it is
haven't
now.
removed it yet
Yeah.
because the client requested that we just leave it there. But once we get approval and everything figured out, we'll remove it and put it in.
Same thing has happened down the street.
Yep.
All right. Any questions, comments from the commission?
I couldn't read all the text on the doors.
I think it's just the hours, I can.
It's a lot of type. I'm not,
It's,
Yeah, it is.
I know.
I'm not sure it's all necessary.
I don't even
I mean,
No.
you've got the name of the,
So according to our new sign code, based
Yeah.
on the measurements, it conforms.
yeah.
Now, as far as the new sign code is related to reviewing based on design and not content, as long as it meets the size requirements,
Yeah.
they can
Mhm.
write Ulysses on there if they
I
want.
think it just says their hours, and then there's also an email and a phone number that you can reach to book this.
Yeah.
And it repeats on both doors?
Yes.
Yeah, and in each window too. But okay.
I don't know why they have it on both doors.
It just seems very redundant, especially since most people just go to the web anyway.
Yes, but if that's what they want, that's what they want. I'll move approval.
I'll second it.
Motion second, and seeing no one in the audience who wishes to address.
We've lost our audience.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
It's not even 6 o'clock
Yeah,
yet.
we're making good time. Thank you. Is there any other business that needs to come before the commission?
Very quickly, posting legal notices for public hearing for zoning code amendments for temporary fencing and chimneys for the next planning commission meeting. Working on getting code from other communities on temporary fencing. I'll circulate that once I have it. Otherwise, we'll be open to having a public hearing to discuss potential code amendments in July.
And
I think that's
So come prepared with notes and
very necessary.
So we'll be,
okay,
Well-
could you? Oh, sorry.
will we receive something, you're saying we're gonna receive something to study prior to the next month's meeting?
Yes.
And then are we expected to discuss it and vote on it, or just discuss it at the next month's
we
meeting?
can discuss it at the next meeting if the commission is comfortable with, we come to a conclusion as far as revisions, hear public comment, then we can vote on it for a recommendation to council, or we can move it to the August meeting.
And
Yeah, I'd like to have more time than
That's
just
fine.
a blitz, one meeting, but,
Yeah, there's no rush on that.
Yeah, we'll just have our required number of public hearings and
Okay.
we're good.
okay.
And for the benefit of the whole commission, can you explain the committee of the whole meeting that's going on now?
Sure. So the committee of the whole meeting is a meeting for council to meet in a committee of the whole with a little less formality than a regular council meeting to discuss the ordinance that would be appropriating $7,500 towards the feasibility study for the bike trail that's been proposed to run through the village. Current conceptual location is through the Greenbelt, but Tri-State Trails and other organizations will be presenting on that upstairs. And the feasibility study will evaluate the feasibility of running the trail through that area, as well as potentially exploring alternatives, costs, those kinds of details.
Does the 7,500 only cover the study portion of Glendale, or is it lumped in with a greater study?
So we would be lumped in with a greater study that's between 200,000 and 300,000. 7,500 is the village's portion of that. Other communities have been asked to pitch in more, others have been asked to pitch in less because they're not either they have a majority running through their community or they're not as affected,
Got it.
or they neighbor the trail.
Okay, thanks.
You know, on that point, David, this trail, if it's approved tonight, the ordinance is approved, and it gets to a point where council wants to proceed with it, would probably come before this body for review and comment, and maybe even ultimate approval. So I think as a body, as individuals, we're certainly able to attend, but I would caution everybody to be judicious about any comments tonight, because ultimately we are going to be sitting as judge and jury on this application if it comes before this council, this commission. I intend to attend. I think Beth
I'm gonna
expressed
attend
some
a little
interest.
bit.
I am. I just
Yeah.
have to have Nancy make my
Will it
comments.
be on TV?
Tonight? Yeah, I think.
It won't be live, but ICRC is recording
Okay.
the meeting for
Right.
later.
Yeah.
I'll watch the recording.
I went up there thinking the meeting was up there, and I sat at 5:27. I'm looking at my emails, and all of a sudden I go, "Wait a minute."
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.